You're officially my pastor and my boss.
Yep. 2 days in and we haven't killed each other.
We're doing pretty good.
One of those days I took off as a holiday. So.
And I'm about to go on holidays.
So
we're really trying to ease our way into this.
That's right.
Situation. So far, so good.
That's right.
Tuesday was nice. What's happening, party people? Welcome to Punch Board Party. My name is Daniel. This is Father Greg, and this is our best of the month for July, where we talk about all the board games that we play in a particular month. This month being July, and then at the end of the video, we're going to tell you what game we thought was the best from that month. So again, we record these videos pretty late, and so July has probably it's in your rearview mirror. But if you can remember, party people, just put down what you've been playing in the month of July, or just currently, in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to dialogue with you about games.
Yeah, I mean, for all you know, we just played these games yesterday. I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
You know,
probably
fine.
did. Alrighty, let's get into it. Right at the beginning of the month. Even actually at the end of June, because we recorded our June early. So the tail end of June, I was over at Colm's house. His brother-in-law was over. He's from Winnipeg, and he likes board games. And I decided to pull out Dune Imperium. So we played a game of Dune Imperium.
Sounds like you.
And again, it was one of those situations where it's like, we're starting at like 11 o'clock at night. They're like, how long is this going to take? I'm like, it'll take us 2.5 hours at least. They're like, sure, let's go. And so we're playing into the early morning here. And still, Dune Imperium is just an excellent game. Now, Colin had played Uprising with me.
Okay.
And so that was kind of in his head. And he said, you know what, I think I preferred Uprising. I liked the more complexity that Uprising brought to the table. And so that's one for Uprising. I kind of tend to prefer Dune Imperium, but the cracks in Dune Imperium did show after playing Uprising, going back to base Dune Imperium. I was saying previously, I think I like the unbalanced parts of Dune Imperium to kind of work around that. I think I was just talking a bunch of malarkey.
Not uncommon for Dan on this channel.
That's right. Uprising really does tighten some things up on the board for the better, but I do still think there's a bit too much going on in Uprising. So they're right there for me now.
I played a game that was nominated for either the Spiel. Yeah, I think the Spiel des Jahres.
Yeah.
And that is Sky Team.
Wow. Wow.
Sky Team is a cooperative. I think it's only 2 players.
Only 2 players, is my understanding.
Yeah, so we play a 2-player, and a nifty game, really nifty. Like, you're rolling dice and placing them, but different types of dice matter, and you have to cooperate with your opponent. So it's not like
now, is
a
it
game where...
non-verbal cooperation, or what's the story?
Mostly, yeah. Like, I mean, you're not prohibited from, like, talking, but, like, basically, non-verbal. So... But, like, one thing is, for example, you have to keep the plane level. So, like, if I put a 6 on that plane, like, now you need to put, like, at least a 4 or something. Because, like, 2 imbalance is okay. But, like, anything more than that. And now our plane is, skyrolling out of control. Or different things like that. But, like, sometimes you need 1s. Because 1s open your landing gear. And, like, whatever. And so you're trying to accomplish, like, different objectives before you get into the airport, and it's just a game about landing a plane, keeping the plane steady.
And I heard it plays pretty quick.
Yeah. No, it's a really, it's a nice game.
It was the winner.
Did it win?
It won.
I didn't realize the words came out.
Yeah, it won. All right, so then we went on vacation. Okay. Myself, Sarah, Owen, Ethan, and even Eleanor came on vacation to London, Ontario, and... the kids' grandparents, they bought a couple games for them. Zingo! It's bingo with a zing, baby.
Is that the tagline?
That's the tagline.
Okay.
so Zingo, basically there's this contraption that has these tiles in it. You slide the contraption forward, and then you slide it back, and 2 tiles remain in place.
Okay.
And then if those tiles correspond to places that you have open on your bingo tile, you can grab them. And you're just having the first one to grab them, and if you snooze, you lose.
This is a speed game.
Yeah. And you fill up your bingo card.
That's the zing.
That's the zing.
Got it. Speed bingo.
The kids wanted to play again.
Okay.
So, there you go. Mission accomplished, kids game.
That's right. The next game I played is a game that I have had as like a pre-order for some time. Took a while to arrive, but that's the newest Roxley edition game, which is Skyrise.
Oh,
so you're
nice.
building like towers on a floating island in the sky, and basically it's a betting game, but it has a little of a weird thing where you bet with your buildings, and the bigger buildings have higher numbers on them, but you bet on, like, the first player will bet on this territory, and they'll place like a 26, and so if you want to bet, you have to place a higher number, but you're not betting on that territory, you're betting on an adjacent territory. So then you put like a 36 on the adjacent territory, and somebody else goes 40, but that's on another adjacent territory. So it kind of creates this like line of like different territories until finally nobody can or desires to outmatch your bid, and then your tower goes down on that spot. And when your tower goes down on that spot, you get a little token. What do you do with those tokens? They score you points different ways, you know? You might, like, you have kind of like a secret objective, but then there's things on the board where, like, you might go to a white, like, all the spots on the board are colored, so you might go to a white spot, but you'll get a token that makes your brown spots more valuable.
Okay.
So now you're incentivized to, like, go and build cities on brown tokens,
Right.
but then the other tokens that make brown tokens more valuable are on yellow spaces. So,
Okay.
like, do I want to go to a yellow space to get the brown token to make my brown cities more valuable, but then I'm not building a brown city, and
Right.
you know, that seems counterproductive, but you know, so yeah,
Stretching you.
that's right.
A seesaw game? Somebody said in the comments when we were mentioning these
Oh,
seesaw
yeah?
mechanisms that we should do our top 10 seesaw
Nice
games.
Yes, I can see this being classified as a bit of a seesaw endeavor. So
There we
yeah,
go.
I enjoyed it though. Solid,
Good.
solid.
Good.
Game.
So this game used to be Metropolis. And
Okay.
that's been rethemed. And again, when I first got into the hobby, this was on my list for the longest time, and then it got out of print, and then just sort of got away from me. And so I'm really intrigued to play it. I'd really be open to playing it. Okay, so finally got to play some games with Scott.
Finally, Scott has played games
That's right.
with Daniel
That's right.
in London.
Strathroy, actually.
No.
But you know what? Lovely, amazing to be with Scott again and just to hang out and to talk and share and play lots of board games. So a lot of these games that I played from now on are going to be with Scott.
Okay.
Or with his son Liam. But right off the bat, Liam was trying to angle for Magic the Gathering. We'll talk
Okay.
about that later. But I said, no, play Mindbug. And so,
Yes, you did.
so I got my bug played. Like, he played with his dad, and I played with Scott, and we just kind of went around. And again, these games are like 15 minutes. And,
Yep.
they really, Scott, I should say, really appreciated the streamlined Magic the Gathering that exists in Mindbug.
Right.
Like, when I was explaining rules, they were like, oh, flying, and
Yes, yep.
all the keywords kind of
Yep.
matched up, and they knew what was going on, and it was just click, and it was just fun. To make it all happen. So very glad that I introduced Mindbug to these guys. And then Mindbug kind of came up over the trip, like when Curtis would come over, we were like, hey, check out Mindbug. And it's like, oh yeah, I like that. There's just this really satisfying thing with people who like games like Magic the Gathering or play Magic the Gathering, where they can just not worry about tokens and counters,
Right.
and they
Yep.
can just sort of, oh, you either defeat the card or you don't. You know, like it's
Right.
gone or it's gone. It's good.
Last month I played a game that you hated, and this month I played it again, but with an expansion.
Oh,
That's
so
Taverns of Tiefenthal with the wine cellars.
okay.
And so we brought out some wine this time.
Okay.
Let me tell you, wine just makes everything smooth that much better. You know,
Okay.
you know, it just makes the cogs. It's fine. I still love Taverns of Tiefenthal. I could do with the wine expansion or not.
What does it actually do?
You get like essentially another resource, which is like instead of beer, you also get wine. But wine allows you to kind of like duplicate. I think one of the people that are sitting down at your table, like you can like do their like
Okay.
ability another time or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just a little, there's other like little modules, like you can
Sure.
add like a room for them to sleep in,
Okay.
and you can add like, I don't know, different little cards here and there and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, solid Taverns of Tiefenthal. It's great.
Next, I have brought along Captain Flip, which was also nominated for the Spiel along
Yeah,
with
okay.
Sky Team. And I want to get played. I was going to get played with the family a bit, but the family all went to bed. And so Scott and I just played a little 2-player game of Captain Flip together to start. And then we played it multiple times with other folks as the weekend and week went on. But Captain Flip is just this delightful game where you have a tableau in front of you where you're putting tiles and you have to place starting from the bottom of a column and then place on top of tiles you previously placed. And how you place the tiles it's gonna make you money. Like the cook is gonna get you a coin for every tile in the row that you're placing the cook in.
Right.
A gunner is gonna get you 5 coins just for placing it there, but then if at the end of the game you have 3 or more gunners, you lose.
Right.
So you just have to make sure you don't have that situation at the end of the game. A monkey can flip an adjacent tile over. But the main conceit in the game is you draw a tile from the bag, you only look at one side of it, you choose whether you're going to place that tile that face up, or if you're going to flip the tile and place it on its other side. If you flip the tile, you're stuck with that side. It's just kind of a little shot of endorphins, just like, hey, dopamine, boom, 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 just like, oh, should I do it? Should I do it? Yeah, or no.
Right.
And you know what? Luck heavy, but it's over pretty quick. Fun.
Right.
Fun. I can see why it was nominated. I think it deserved to be nominated. I haven't played Sky Team, but I did play the other nominee, which you're going to talk about in a little bit, in the Footsteps of Darwin. Okay. And I prefer that, but we'll talk about that later.
How'd you know? Next game I played is a 2-player game that I've come back to time and time again. This is Hanamikoji.
Nice.
A game about battling for geishas and
battling for geishas.
Yeah, you're like battling for to have them work in your establishment as whatever geishas do, and so yeah, a really interesting kind of like back and forth, where there's like on your turn you have to do 4 different options. You could choose in what order you're doing those 4, but like at the end of your round you're going to have performed those 4, and so like one of them is that you just take a card from your hand and you're like, I'm going to have this as part of my final hand, but you can't see it, like it's kept secret until the end of the round. The second action, you can discard 2 cards from your hand. Just get rid of them. The third action is you place 3 cards down, and you first offer them to your opponent. Your opponent picks 1, and you get the other 2. Okay. And then the fourth option is that you take 4 cards, and you put them in 2 groups of 2, and your opponent picks 1, and you get the other one. Okay. And so it's just like this kind of back and forth of, okay, I'm offering you a green. Now, you want to win green, but you don't want to have so much of green that you lose track of all the other 7, because basically if you win like 11 points and one geisha's worth 5 and a couple are worth 2 and so on, but like if you get 11 points you win the game. So you just keep playing until somebody gets to basically 11 points. Just a great little 2-player game. Love it.
It's kind of fun. There's handing back and forth, just hoping that you're not handing over too much.
It's a little bit almost like a little bit like Colorado in that sense, kind of like. Yeah, you're giving something to your opponent, but you're hoping that they can't really make use of it or something like that.
All right, so Liam won, and he got us to play Magic the Gathering. This is the first time I have ever played Magic the Gathering. And Liam was really insistent. He wanted his dad to play too, so we played a 3-player Magic the Gathering. Liam had built his deck and my deck fairly meticulously, but he was just like experiment, or maybe Scott had even made one of the decks, but he was just experimenting with the deck that Scott ended up with. Sure. So
it wasn't very good.
So Scott ends up with all of these artifacts, like these super powerful artifacts, and like nobody to wield them. Right. He just has them waiting for people to come along. And then my deck was all about like, I could just like snipe people. Yep. Like crazy, so he would just get somebody out and I would just take them out. Again, Magic the Gathering used to be such an arm's length for me of like, I'll never be able to understand that game, because I have a core memory as a child of going over to a friend's house, and this is probably like 96 or something, so like Magic the Gathering is like 3 years old or something. And he's like, oh, there's this game, like, check this out. So you put out your land, and then you gotta make sure you have enough land out before you can play. I'm like, can I play this monster now? No, you can't play this monster now. Of course, now it's all very simple. Right. And it's a pretty cool, intuitive thing where, like, you just get to put a land out every turn. Like, and then your lands build up, and now all of a sudden I have a bunch of lands to spend, and or mana or whatever.
Yep.
There's some keyword stuff that like is definitely like outdated. Like every card is a spell.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like it's stuff like that where it's like if this game was made now, I don't think they would have done that. They would have clarified things a little bit more. But it's like everything's a spell. So I got a little confused at the beginning just trying to get my head around that. But there's a reason why this game has been like immortal.
Yeah.
So good on you. I don't think like I toyed with buying like one of those like dual deck packs.
Yes, yep.
Like, just to have it around so maybe you and I could play around or something. But like the shine faded off pretty quick. Once I got back from vacation, I was like, I'll just play other stuff.
Sure.
But again, I'm not the target audience for a card battler.
Cool.
But still, I'm glad I tried. So later that afternoon, Scott and I also played speaking of crazy card games, we played a crazy little card game that's like big and little all at the same time. Mottainai.
No, I thought you were going to say Tiny Epic Galaxies.
No. Mottainai. So Mottainai is like a re-implementation of Glory to Rome, sort of.
Wow.
And this is just a wacky little game. You have this card as kind of this like player mat. And then when you play cards, you can play cards in kind of 4 directions, depending on what they're going to do. And so you either play them for their skill, which is kind of the action that you're able to do with them, or you play them as kind of an artifact that you're going to keep in your museum, or you sell them, the artifacts. So depending on where you're...
Kind of like for a shuffle.
I don't know. No. This is... Like, I'm not going to be able to do this game justice explaining it at all. This is like the least intuitive card game you've ever played. Same designer as Innovation, which I hate Innovation. Mottainai won me over eventually. So basically, if you play the cards kind of underneath your player mat, they sort of add up and reduce to the cost of that type of good in the future. And then you're going to earn points if they're to the left or to the right of your card. But then if you play them on top, that's how you're going to determine what action you're going to do. And your action is going to be either drafting a card or placing a card here or placing a card there or placing that kind of a thing. And so it's just you're racing to a certain number of victory points against your opponent. And you're basically, it's kind of, has a little bit of that Hanamikoji vibe where you're like, you give a card to like in order to pay for an action, and now that card's available to your opponent now, and you need a certain number of the same type of card in order to purchase that type of card to make points with it. But you also need a card of that type to purchase, but at the same time, you're always getting rid of cards from your hand. There's a really tight like hand limit. And so to get the amount of cards you need and have a card extra is sometimes tough. It's a tough nut to crack.
Literally sounds exactly like Forest Shuffle. I swear if you said these exact rules and just said Forest Shuffle, I think this game would be exact same.
No, it's different.
You're like, you can place cards in 4 different areas, and when you discard a card, you give it to your opponent. And it's like, that's exactly what Forest Shuffle is.
There's similarities. The main difference is that in Forest Shuffle, the cards are determined to either be played on the left or the right, or on the top or the bottom. Mottainai, all cards can be played in all of the ways.
Right. Similar to Hanamikoji, another game in which you are giving cards to your opponent and sort of
Forest
battling.
Shuffle.
No. Lost Cities.
Oh, fun.
Lost Cities. Yes, you're competing over like 5 or 6, I think, if you play with the Alien Invasion.
Oh.
Whatever. There's like a 6 color.
I've never seen that.
But yeah. Basically just play over 6 different areas that you're exploring, and you have to kind of like keep going in ascending order, but you want to place like, you want to get as many cards as you can because you want to have like a high total value to be able to like score that. Otherwise you'll score negative points.
Yes.
But at a certain point, like once I've already placed the 5, well then I can freely discard the 4 yellow because like I know you can't pick it up.
Yeah.
But eventually you get some spots where you have to discard a card, so you're playing into your opponent's hand. Yeah, your opponent's picking up your cards and kind of waiting. There's a little bit of like a tug of war, kind of what are you doing? Where are you going? You can even put like multipliers, like I'm really confident I'm going to get red, so I'm going like ×3. Right. And if I lose, that's ×3 negative points. Yes. But if I win, it's ×3 positive points. And yeah.
As soon as you start an expedition, you're minus 20 points.
That's right.
And so you got to get out of there.
That's right.
It's fun. Mm-hmm. It's fun. All right, so played a couple of games of Faraway.
Okay, yep.
And
this game.
And I just, like, couldn't do well. I just kept on...
Wow.
Because I'm really good at this game, typically. But what would happen is I'm teaching the game, trying to make sure that everyone understands. I did. And yet, I think what I did both times is I just stretched it a little too far. I tried to get a couple of big scoring cards that required a lot of things, and I kind of stretched myself too thin. And then just the maps weren't... Just bad draws on the... what are they called? Sanctuaries. Just some real bad draws on the sanctuaries, and I couldn't quite get the extra... Because that's what I normally do. I normally play a game where I still try and make sure I have the requirements on the cards in my row itself, but I get the majority of my requirements from sanctuaries. That's kind of how I like to play. And the sanctuaries were just... not providing me with resources.
Lady Luck was not in your corner.
And I was also playing like a weird, like, on-off. Like, I could draw Sanctuary one turn. I couldn't draw Sanctuary the other turn. So then I was just going to the well too few times to...
Right.
Who needs it? Played a game. Had the old crew back together. Brad, Curtis. Brad's son joined in on this. Scott. Played Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig. You didn't tell when you explained this game on the channel. You didn't really give it. You didn't.
I mean, it's great.
You didn't really give me a good sense of what this was.
No.
This is a full board game.
Yes.
Okay, when you explained it, I was just... It's my fault. It's not your fault. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
But, like, I'm just picturing a roll and write version.
Yes, yeah.
This is not
a
roll
and
write version.
Giant box.
This is a full-fledged board game that plays like any of the Castles board games. Mm-hmm. This fits really nicely into their series of Between Two Castles.
Right.
Castles of Mad King Ludwig, now Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig. All of them do different things with still the same kind of core feel. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm curious if it ain't broke, though.
Okay.
I'm curious if it ain't broke. I just really went hog on the orange.
Oh, yeah.
I went hog on orange, and I got, like... I got so many scoring cards that the deck ran out.
Wow.
I basically took the whole between all the players. When I went to the well the last time to get scoring cards, I couldn't draw as many as I could.
Wow.
So it was to the point. It was to the point where
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
When I was scoring at the end, I was sure I went after a particular goal because it got you points on its own. So it was like. One of each room size. So if you have one of each room size, you're going to score some points.
Yep.
And then I had a card that also was going to score me points for each room size. So I was like, okay, let's do that. Mm-hmm. And I was working towards it. I achieved it. And then I didn't have the card anymore. I was like, where'd it go? What happened was my stack of scoring cards was so big that someone thought that it was the draw pile for the scoring cards.
Wow.
They took it from me.
Are you sure you didn't just take the deck?
No. So anyway, I won by a mile. I won by a mile. And so I don't know if I just fell into something or... Again, this deserves repeat plays. But terribly enjoyable.
Right.
Terribly enjoyable. People loved the stenciling, the rooms.
Yes.
People loved it. I could have done without these. For me, this could have just been... tiles that you laid.
Right.
But fair enough, fun enough. And we're playing with the deluxe edition, so we each had our set of pencils. Mm-hmm. So, fun. Really, really enjoyed how all the mechanisms interlocked and how the rooms played together.
It's a neat, there's a lot of little things about it.
Yes.
Yeah, sort of I don't know if it's the Ganchon clever, but like, you complete this room, that unlocks a bonus, that unlocks this thing, that unlocks this thing. Yes. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. 10 things later, you got
for sure
points coming out your walls.
And the drafting of the rooms is fun.
Right.
Between Two Castles is a drafting game, But this felt different. This felt because you had a whole kind of slew, and then turn order was really important.
Right. Yes.
But how you dropped it. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. Really liked it. Curious to see as it gets played more where the community falls on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I had my final board game night with Father Santosh. And,
sad day.
Yeah, but I brought along Dominion again.
Okay.
So we played another game of Dominion. The first time we played just like one of the basic sets they recommend for like your first time playing.
Yes.
This time we pulled out like Prosperity, just pulled out like a few extra cards, just a lovely kind of thing. We had one game that probably went on too long, but then we played another one and it was great.
Okay.
So, yeah. Dominion, yes. I think there are different sets that work better than others, of course. And the game recommends a bunch of like pre-made sets, or you could just make your own. But,
yes.
Like we played one with like a lot of curses, right? Like just a lot of like being mean, and like that can make the game go on for like because your deck is just full of lots of bad stuff. But,
bad stuff.
But yeah, no, great. I love this.
Fun that Dominion has kind of had a resurgence in your life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind dipping into some
For
Dominion. Sure. Okay, so we got the lays together. So Scott and I and Sarah and Melissa, we played Namaji. Tokaido Namaji.
Oh.
So this is a Tokaido variant. And so instead of going along this kind of sacred path, you're going in this kind of circle around a whirlpool. And so everything is kind of fishing themed. So you're going to spots and you're pulling random fish out of the middle, trying to get pairs and sets. You got scoring cards. Because I did so well with the scoring cards, I thought I'd do the scoring card thing again. Did not work this time. But the big thing again, just like in normal Tokaido, is there's these kind of spaces where it'll get you pieces of a painting sort of thing. But like this time it's like a big whale or like a smattering of squid or whatever. And you're just trying to create these sets. It's set collection in using this kind of, you're going to go as far along the path as you can until you have to stop at a port. Or as you want to, sorry. But then again, it's your turn if you're the furthest behind. And so if someone goes really far ahead, then other players can go more times in a row if they don't go as far as you did. Again, I remember playing Tokaido like early in the hobby, and I enjoyed it fine. Couldn't really get my head around it. This, I didn't do much better. I really mistimed how much I could get done. Like I kept on kind of jumping ahead a little bit to try and, again, to get these scoring card opportunities. I thought that I could like maybe avoid the portraits and do everything else and do fine, but that wasn't the case. I should have been doing at least some portrait action.
Sure.
Oh well.
The next game I played, this is an old game. This is, we went to Mary and Dallas's, and they invited Dan along, because apparently he's their friend too. Weirdos. So I was told that there would be, more than 4 people.
Yes.
So I came prepared with games that do well with more people. I wrote this classic, I think from 1976 or something like that, Cosmic Encounter.
Wow.
And,
you know what? Wow.
Yeah. It's wild, it's wacky, it's zany.
We were talking at the end. Probably the most complex party game.
Yeah.
Is a good way to sort of set your expectations for this game.
That's right.
It's wild. Like, everyone has their planets in front of them. They're defended by ships. Then there's like a battle that's determined. So like, this player is going to be attacking this player. They just draw a card.
That's right.
And they're going to be attacking that player. So that's already really unique in its own right, and kind of, because now it's, just choose who you're going to attack. This, it's like, nope, you're going to be going after this person. So decide what you're going to do. So you can play a truce card, or you can play the attack cards go from like 0 or like 1 to like 50. Like, you were explaining, you were like, yeah, you might have some like 40s or 50s. Dallas and I are looking at each other like 10, right?
There's very, very few of those like high cards. Maybe 50's a stretch. But when you're only putting 4 ships in battle, even if you play an 8 attack card, that's like a significant boost.
Yes.
Like the amount of ships you have in the encounter is more or less meaningless.
Right. Yes. And then with like wonky player powers that just like really just mess up with the way that things are going. And we played this in like 40 minutes. It was an hour with the teach. Like, it was super snappy. And you know what? A lot of fun. Like, just hurting Mary's feelings a lot.
Sure.
You know? She like tried to tip off to somebody. I don't think it was me. Was it me or it was Dallas? Anyway, she had to tip off to somebody that she was going to play a negotiate card.
Right. And
she was like, here. And she like put in like 2 ships or like 4 ships or something. Right. And it was like, what? I said it with an inflection.
That's right. Nothing about what she said was clear that she was planning on negotiating. There was nothing.
It was really great
in her tone of voice that ever suggested. It was like, here, yeah, be ready. What do you mean? How did you not know I was going to play negotiate?
So we had a lot of fun with it. I'd play it again in a heartbeat. Actually, I really liked it. So played with the kids, and you know what? Finally. I kind of pushed it on them. Ticket to Ride First Journey. They're finally at that level where they can play.
Yep.
They can get it. Ethan's still a little bit like, gets fascinated with just collecting cards. He wants to have a big bit full of cards. But if you guide him a little bit, he'll play well. Right. And so Owen has a really hard time with competitive games. He always asks if it's a work together game.
Right.
So I finally kind of pushed them out of their comfort zone a little bit. And we pushed through. Owen had a few temperamental moments, but we kept on going. And we had a successful game of First Journey to the point where we were able to play another time. And we played successfully. So Owen won the first game. Ethan won the second game. You know what? Ticket to Ride is a great little system. And I'm just really happy to play it in any iteration, I think.
That's right.
I used to think, like, Ticket to Ride is a game I have for other people. Now I'm realizing, no, it's a game I have for me. I like Ticket to Ride. I like Ticket to Ride. And I'm actually really contemplating buying some of the kind of crazier variants, like the Rails and Sails, or Germany has, like, passengers.
Yep.
So I'm feeling drawn to expand my Ticket to Ride collection a little bit.
So then we were at Mary and Dallas's, and then Daniel decided to bring out this game that I'm sure he'll talk about in more depth, but that game was Heat. And so Heat is a game about racing your car, but going fast, but not too fast, because you don't want to blow out your engine. But you want to be close. That's right. You don't want to be too conservative, in the racing game. But it is a great racing game.
Oh, you know what? So you've heard me, party people, give this game flack, not understanding why it's in the BGG Top 100, all this kind of stuff. I think I was wrong. So I played it twice in July. Well, end of June and then July. And man, like, this game just there's a simplicity to it. I really like a hand management game. If I have a hand of cards and I'm trying to work with it, one of my favorite games is Jamaica, right? So I really like Jamaica. And what Jamaica does is it gives you a handful of cards and it says make your best choice out of this hand of cards. Heat does the same thing, except it gives you a few more things to work with. Just putting yourself into gear. Gear determines how many cards you're going to play from your hand that turn. So 1 to 4 cards. And you have to play exactly the number of cards as the gear that you're in. And the trick in this game, I think, is staying in a high gear and being able to play 4 cards that are all really low.
That's right.
So that you can stay in gear and go around really tight corners.
That's right.
So, okay, going around a corner that has a 3 on it, and if I play 4, then I have to spend 1 heat. You have to spend the difference in order to make it around that corner. If I don't have the heat to spend, then I wipe out. And I take stress cards into my hand. Stress cards, when you play stress cards, you just draw a random card from the top of your deck. I find that people, when they first play this game, they just play the stress cards as, oh, well, I guess.
Right.
Whatever. Let's see. And I really found a way to just mitigate the stress cards. I really tried to not play stress if I could. I had some special cards in my hand that allowed me to discard stress cards. So I utilized that a lot. And then I was able to really manage, when I was in a high gear, playing 3 1s and a 2 and stuff like that.
Right.
Oh, man. But you feel like you're squealing around that corner. You feel like you're pushing it a little too far. And it's really brilliant. Just heat as a resource in this game is just a really satisfying feeling of, like, you have heat in your engine for a reason. So going around the corner at exactly the number that it says isn't actually, like you say, the way to play the game. you're meant to spend heat. So you're meant to go over. You're meant to, every once in a while, spend a heat to boost, to play an additional random card from your deck. Like, you're meant to play around with that. If you do, you'll do well.
That's right.
If you do too much, you won't do well. If you do too little, you won't do well either. Okay, had a couple of guys over, and we just played a few small games, one that you're about to talk about, so I won't talk about that, but then we played Vale of Eternity.
Okay.
This is starting to maybe be a record-breaking run of a game showing up on the best of the month.
Yeah.
Month after month. But Vale of Eternity, just still love this game. This was interesting because Pierce played. Okay. And so Pierce is like engine building, combo extraordinaire, right? And for partway through the game, he was like, I got a lot of cards that were getting me points early on. So I was just kind of going for the big plays, the big moves, like take this card, discard this card for the points that are on it, and stuff like that. And I was just kind of whipping around the score track. But then Pierce just went all blue, and he built a nice little blue engine, and eventually he blew past us.
Wow. The next game that we played at Marion Dallas's was a game that I've played before, but Dan had not.
Nope.
And that is Cat in the Box.
Yes.
So a little trick-taking game where every card in your hand is black. Yeah. I still like this game. It's
You know what?
really
It is an excellent trick-taking game. What didn't come across to me as you were describing it the last time was that there's kind of two games going on at once. So there's the trick-taking game that's just a straight trick-taking game, except for the fact that you're determining what color your card is as you play it. And that leads into this other portion of the game where there's a little board, and you put your token onto the number and the color that you are making that number that you play. Now, you're going to score points at the end of the round. If you've made the tricks you said you were going to make, you're going to score your largest kind of interconnected clump on the board.
That's right.
So you're not only saying the cards are certain colors and playing certain numbers to win the tricks, you're also caught in this little game of keeping your cards that you play close together in some way, shape, or form. So it's not just like, I'm just going to lose this trick.
Right.
You're like, I'm going to lose this trick in a very specific way. I found that fascinating.
Yeah.
Just really enjoyed that.
No, I'm still excited to get this out to like, with some like aunts or like family friends
see
that
what
really
they can do with
trick taking. Yeah.
See what they can do with it.
For sure.
Yeah. Ticket to Ride was on my mind.
Okay.
So Sarah and I were having a little date night, and we played Nordic Countries.
Sure.
Oh, it was lovely.
Nice.
Just lovely. Sarah always goes the like extra tickets route.
Yep.
She just is always constantly getting more tickets, and she beat me, not by much. We were pretty close. I played like a long route game.
Yep.
Where I was getting lots of long routes. I got the big long route up at the top of the map, all that kind of stuff. She just snuck out the win with just extra little tickets.
Yeah. Great.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I love Nordic Countries. The only thing I can't figure out where any of those cities are.
So it's really funny. It's really funny. So Sarah's cousin, Carl, is from Sweden.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're living in Canada now, and we were visiting with them in London. And we should bring this along with us next time. If they come out and visit, we should play this with them because it's their home.
That's right.
Carl and his girlfriend, they would love it because
Recognize
they
all
would
those
know
spots.
they would know everything.
That's right.
And they'd be like, "Why are you taking so long to make your turn?" And we're like, "We're trying to figure out where."
Mo Rana. Like, where the heck is that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it would be now again. They've come out since with lots of these kind of 2-player small box.
Right. Yes.
So I think we have this now, but I'd like a big box 2-player Ticket to Ride that's a little more familiar.
Yeah.
A Canada
For sure.
2-player Canada.
Rails and Sails. That's
You can do Canada. Yeah.
Great Lakes at least. The next game I played is Fugitive. I played this
Nice!
last time. Yeah, it's a nice little, once again, 2-player game. Asymmetrical. One player's the thief running away. The other player is like the detective trying to figure out where he's going. You play down a card, and your next card has to be within 1 to 3 numbers of that previous card. You're trying to get up to 57 or something like that before you can finally get on the plane and fly away. But as you go along, your detective is trying to figure out, well, okay, he was at 4 last time. That means he could be as high as 7. But I've got 7 in my hand, so I know he's not at 7.
Yes.
So okay, so either at 5 or 6. Okay, but then you can play more cards to move more than 3 spaces. So you can play 5 cards, and then it's like, okay, now he could move 10 spaces.
But then you're stuck, man. You're out of luck.
That's right. Then you don't have any cards in your hand, and then there's also like the double bluff. Like, do you play 5 cards and then still only move 3 spaces?
Yeah.
Just to like throw them off into you being wildly where you're not, and and so on. But yeah, just kind of double bluff, kind of guessing, deducing sort of game. Yeah, like it though.
Awesome. I also played Fugitive.
Oh, okay.
Fugitive with Scott. Because you had talked about Fugitive last video. I had played Fugitive with Scott years ago. And so I said, hey, let's play Fugitive again. So we played Fugitive again.
Okay.
Now, I'm not a great deduction guy.
Right.
So I wasn't in the detective seat. So I played as the Fugitive. And right off the bat, I played like 3 extra cards.
Yes.
To try and throw him off. And he still got me. And
sure.
I just got jammed up. I couldn't.
Yes. Cards are a resource.
There's like 3 different decks that the cards are divided into. And so I just couldn't get to the next deck. He kept on drawing cards to see where I wasn't.
Right.
But that was also limiting cards that I needed to be able to jump to the next thing. Yep. I need numbers that were closer to my last card that I had.
That's right, yes.
And,
next up, I played Mandala. I've talked about Mandala before. Okay. Love Mandala. And this is a game, I don't do well at many games. I'll be honest. Like I play games, but I play them for the joy of winning. And I do all right. I'm not horrible at games. Right. But like, you know, I'm not a Pierce or like somebody who like, min-maxes games. But Mandala is a game that I get. Like Mandala, I would say my win rate in that is definitely above average.
Okay.
For what I normally do. So that maybe helps, but I really love Mandala.
That's great.
Yeah.
Party people with Scott. I got Tiletum played twice.
Holy.
And then I played it once with Curtis.
How many times did you play games in London?
3 lots. So 3 games of Tiletum. Scott destroyed my win streak.
Okay.
He beat me twice in both games I played with Scott. He beat me. And it revealed, again, so you can take this as a good thing or a bad thing. I think for me it still makes the game fun. But as our suspicion was, following the festivals is really the thing you need to do in the game. Especially in a 2-player game, if you fall behind in a festival, that's tough to make up in other ways.
Right.
It's tough to make up in other ways. So you really got to kind of be keeping... And sometimes the dice don't allow for that to happen. So then I played with Curtis after losing to Scott twice. Again, it was his first game, so probably not the nicest thing for me to do, but I just felt bad about losing twice. And I just pulled up my pants, and I just went after those festivals. I got a nice little score.
Sure.
So again, it's actually... Sometimes when a game puts you on rails, it can feel like that.
Right.
But Tiletum, I feel like it's more of a... It's like the puzzle of the game. It's like, can you do well at this scoring condition round to round? Terra Mystica and Age of Innovation do a very similar thing.
Right. Well, apparently this month we did play all the Spiel des Jahres nominees.
Yes.
Because I played in the Footsteps of Darwin.
Awesome.
This is a game where on your turn there's like a grid and you draft 1 tile from this grid. Depending where your little ship is, you can you pick any tile, but then you move. If it's the 3rd tile in the row, your ship moves 3 spaces, and then that opens up new tiles for your opponents. But then you take this thing, and you just put it. If it's a purple insect, you put it on the purple insect spot. And that's it. But, then some tiles might give you compasses, and compasses are multiplied by your maps at the end. Other tiles will just give you straight-up victory points. Other tiles will give you characters that you can use to modulate which tiles you get. And you want to create rows and columns, like you want to get all the Africa, different all the different Africa animals, bugs, whatever. Or you want to get all the bugs, just straight up all the bugs through every continent. And creating lines, so it's kind of geometric. But you can also cover other animals. So maybe you get something that gave you some kind of immediate effect, but then you cover it up with something that gives you points. And covering up also gives you a little bonus as well, kind of an end-of-game scoring opportunity. Yeah. So, and all around, fairly easy, fairly straightforward, but a little bit more than maybe might just immediately seem on the surface. There's a little bit to think about in what you're doing. So, yeah.
So again, not in July, but I have since played in the Footsteps of Darwin, and I really liked it. Like it gives that simple family weight, short playtime, but with enough little workaround, like some crunchiness. Like, okay, if I get this tile, it'll get me some people. Then I can spend those people to kind of mitigate where the ship goes. So instead of being stuck taking one of these tiles, I can take one of these or these. Just stuff to work around, things to think about. It's still a little determinant, still a little luck determinant, but a little bit more than Captain Flip. Again, I haven't played Sky Team, but like Footsteps of Darwin.
Cool.
Quite nice. Sarah and I had another date night and played Everdell.
Oh, nice.
Love Everdell. And it's just, it is a really great two-player game. Like, it plays 4 well too, but it's nice to find a big box worker placement game that doesn't feel like it loses much when you're just playing with 2.
Right.
It's just kind of back and forth, blocking each other a little bit, but not too much, building your own little... Sarah did quite well this game.
The next up, Mary and Dallas have a friend, Tom, who came over, and he brings over, every time he comes, Vagrantsong. And so we've begun a campaign of this now. We've played, 4 maybe different scenarios. I think there's arguably 20 and you play them all, or there's more than 20, but you play roughly 20 throughout a scenario. I'm not really sure. Something like that. But basically, each time you're fighting a different monster, and you have to approach each kind of ghost differently. Different strategies. So we've enjoyed this. The theme is really cool. It's kind of like 1920s, 30s, sort of like ghost hunter kind of thing.
Sure.
It's kind of got like, it's cool mystique. I have like a playlist like just on Melodice, but I play like it's got like this old timey music, and it it really works well with the game. We had one kind of a little odd experience. So the most recent boss we played, basically at a certain point, so normally you each have your own health. So each of your characters has like their own health, and when you get your health down to a certain point, you take like a wound, and basically like you lose like a skill that your character has. And so that's a pretty big thing, but you can heal it, and like there's ways to mitigate that. But this round we had like a combined health pool. And so when you took damage, like just like the team took damage. But when that damage counter went to 0, one of your players just died and was out of the game. And by the end, Dallas was the only player alive. Like, we won, but it's a weird thing when, like, you're out and you're the first player out, and you're just like, and it's just determined. Like, it's just pick a player who doesn't get to play the game anymore. This is weird. Like, you know.
All right, played with the boys again, played another game of Ticket to Ride, and then played Andor, the Family Fantasy game. So now when the boys play Andor, they need to... they want to put out all of the quests is what they want to do. But the rulebook says the highest difficulty is you put 4 quests out and you try and do that. And we got to the very end. Sarah played 2. All 4 of us were playing. And we got to the very end and we just couldn't find that last pup in the cave until the dragon reached Rickberg.
Well, the last game I played, Sushi Go.
Nice!
Just a nice, easy... Take a card, score points.
Yes.
Easy, but this goes over well.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. A truly inspired game.
Wow.
All right, party people, there you have it. Those are all the games that we played in the month of July. And please, party people, let us know what you thought about the games that we played in the month of July, what you think we might like to play based on things that we said in this video. And before we go, we're going to let you know what the best board game we played this month was. For me, it's a no-brainer. It's Tiletum.
Okay.
Just continued my love for Tiletum, and actually kind of made me crave like multiplayer games of Tiletum. 2 players works.
Sure.
It works, but I wanted to get a bit more interaction. There can be a bit of a runaway leader in a 2-player game if you're not careful.
I think my best of the month might be Sky Team. I played at the start of the month, so I don't have like all of the things, about it clear in my mind, but I remember like there's something about it that's just a nice, for a cooperative game, it like goes over well. There's a nice ebb and flow. You don't feel like, because there is like kind of you don't communicate. it's not like I can just tell you, well, obviously you should put your 4 there, and
Right.
obviously put your 1 there. Like, even your dice are, like, secret. So you don't, like, know what your opponent has.
Sure.
So it's not like you can even look and see, oh, yeah, he's got a 4. I have to be within ±2, so I'll put a 4, because probably, you know, I don't want to put a 6. Like,
Yes.
that's too limiting, but I'll put a 4, and then he's like, I don't have anything left. And you're like, oh, okay.
You're right.
You know, so, yeah, no, I quite like it.
That's awesome. No, it sounds cool. Worth a try. There we go, party people. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of everything. If you like this video, please press the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, party people.
Have the best day.